building. He's going to go check on our friends in the teleconference room. Thank you, Echo.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Enjoying the food? Yes. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I want to welcome you to the conference, but where's my friends from Chico? Is Chico in here? So I want to let you know that I really enjoyed working on the committee last year at Chico, and I took your advice and tried to announce my retirement before I had to run the conference this year, but nobody listened to me. So I'm still here, and I actually we have been working on this for a very long time. I want to also introduce you to Dr. Jennifer Chapman, my partner in crime. Jen started here about a year and a half ago, and I know it wasn't in her job description to do this conference. It was just one of those other duties as assigned. And actually when she started, I hadn't worked with her at all, and Dr. Sawyer, our vice president, said, "Hey, Debbie, I got a line one for you." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to give you some help at the conference. I think that you guys could split it and do a really good job." I thought, wow, when does somebody tell you I'm going to take part of your job away and give you some help? So I was like all excited. So Jen and I started working together, and I really didn't know her that well. So we got in each other's hair a little bit in the beginning. In fact, if you actually look at a picture of either one of us a year ago, we had really long hair and we had to cut it off because we were just like getting in each other's hair. But we kind of hit our stride really quickly and learned we had a yin and yang thing going on. And I have to say, we really enjoyed working together after a while. It was we kind of discovered each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like when we found out that we actually had hit our numbers and we were going to have to go into an overflow room, the first thing Jen did was say, "Oh, we need to do streaming." So people in Petite Salon, people in Petite Salon, that we needed to do streaming so that everybody could have a visual and hear what was going on. And of course, my first thought was, shoot, I have to go out and buy 15 more vases for the centerpieces. So that's how we bounced off of each other. So I would like to join my partner in crime to say, and I'd like everybody to say it together, welcome to the CSU 2014 Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drug Beer Practice. Debbie alluded to, I am Dr. Jennifer Miller. Jen Chapman is a good friend of mine, and we do look alike. We got a chance to, I want to pull a couple statistics, because that's what I think is really interesting about this conference. We have 415 people registered. That is a record for the CSU system, so we are thrilled to report that we have students and staff and faculty who are very interested in college students and how we can assist them to make healthy choices. We have 156 students in attendance. That is a record. So give yourselves a round of applause. We also have all 23 CSU campuses represented. That is not always happening. That is very cool. We have 5 University of California, UC schools represented. That's half of the UC system. That's also very impressive. We also have folks who are here. We have 18 sponsors. We were fortunate to be able to put this through. We have a full list of the sponsors that we will acknowledge this evening, and we have folks in the booklet, so we could not have done this conference without them. And we also have 39 private colleges and interested agencies who have registered to attend today. So we have quite a group. Give yourselves a round of applause. We want to make sure that we get a chance to acknowledge some of our special guests who are here. So Debbie's going to read off a few folks that we're just going to have them briefly stand. We usually ask you to hold applause, but if you feel the applause, go for it. Have fun. So we've got representatives from the CSU Transfers Office, Dr. Sabrina Saunders, and Dr. Ray Murillo. Representatives from the UC Office of the President, Dr. Judy Sakaki, and Dr. Jarlina Griffin-Dista. And our ever popular CI President, Dr. Richard R. Rush. UC and CSU Chief Student Affairs Officers, undergraduate students, and UC and CSU Chief Student Affairs Officers. and are not undergraduate students, and then undergraduate students, and then CSU ATOD Educational Conference Committee.
It is a 38-member planning committee, so we will make sure we acknowledge them upon the conclusion of the conference. They've worked really hard over the past 2 years. I now at this time would like to introduce Dr. William Gregory Sawyer. He is our founding Vice President for Student Affairs at California State University, Channel Islands. He earned his PhD in Higher Education Administration at the University of North Texas. Since his arrival at Channel Islands, Dr. Sawyer has dedicated his efforts to hiring, developing, and encouraging a diverse student-centered and student-focused Student Affairs Division, which fosters an inclusive and collegial learning environment. In 2004, Sawyer was recognized as the most distinguished Black citizen by the Ventura County chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. In 2005, he was recognized by the students at Channel Islands with the Maximus Award as Outstanding Administrator of the Year. In 2007, Dr. Sawyer was recognized by the American College Personnel Association as the Senior Practitioner of the Year. In 2008, Dr. Sawyer was presented the prestigious Wang Family Excellence Award by Chancellor Reed and the trustees of the California State University System as the Outstanding Administrator of the Year. In 2012, Sawyer was recognized by the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators as the recipient of the Scott Goodnight Award for Outstanding Performance as a Vice President for Student Affairs. And in 2013, Sawyer was appointed by Governor Brown to the California Student Aid Commission as the CSU System Representative. It is with great pleasure to introduce our Vice President and my friend, Dr. William Gregory Sawyer.
We're huggers here on campus. I was going to call you Jen Chapman again, but I thought I won't do that. So thank you, Dr. Miller. It is indeed a pleasure to have all of you here today. You've already heard the numbers, but I have to say that being at Beyond 400 is really exciting. To be able to see this room packed is very exciting. Knowing that we have over 150 students is extremely exciting to me. But the fact that we're here for one common denominator, and that is to make a change in students' lives, that's incredible. So thank you all for being here. Please give yourself a round of applause. As Dr. Gravel pointed out, we started this planning about 14, maybe 16 months ago. And as we started looking at this, I have to say that one of the things we did in our BP, what we call our Student Affairs Council meeting, is who's going to be the next person to take on the alcohol and other drug conference? We weren't tobacco at the time. I thought, 3 years out, I got it. Tell I've got that. At the time, we didn't know how many buildings we had. We didn't know what kind of construction we would have going on. And of course, we do have construction, which, by the way, for some people, construction gets in the way. For other folks, construction means we got buildings, y'all. Things are happening on campus. There's some money again. So that's exciting. So as you're walking around going, oh, I can't, look at all this construction. Applauders too, all right? But it was really exciting knowing that 3 years we would have this conference. When it was at 2 years, it was somewhat of a reality. At 1 year, we're going, uh-oh. Yesterday was really a uh-oh. So it's really exciting to have all of you here and just to have the idea that we are going to make a difference in the next 2 days that can change the lives of the number of students, not only that are here, but that are back on our campuses. I want to share a couple pieces of data with you because I think it's going to be important before I go into some other things. 599,000 students between the ages of 18 and 24 are unintentionally harmed by alcohol. Almost 600,000 students are people between the ages of 18 and 24. Not all were necessarily students in the survey, but are harmed by alcohol. 1,825 people between 18 and 24 die. Alcohol-related deaths in the car. And these are the things that we know to be true. And with the research that's out there, that's one thing. There are a number of us that have personal experiences knowing friends and family members that have been victims. And so we are here today and tomorrow to find answers, to look for best practices, and to be able to hear stories of individuals that have lived through this. Individuals that may be working a program. Individuals that have had family members that are intimately involved. In fact, I would hope that this evening at the reception, I'm going to do a personal point of privilege here. 3 of my public speaking students will actually be giving a testimonial this evening on their family relationship and alcoholism and other drugs and how it has affected their lives. So I hope that you will be able to go to the reception and to hear them. One other thing, too, I think is really important is that I know we asked and talked a little bit about the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drug Committee, but we had a statewide committee as well as we had a local committee. So I'm going to ask our statewide committee for ATOD. Will members here please stand? The statewide ATOD committee. Are you the only person? I see Rodney. You can stand. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thank you. Thank you guys all for helping out. We did lots of phone calls. We had several different meetings, as you can imagine. The closer we got, the more meetings we had. But I think it's really important to acknowledge this group because they also assisted us with developing the programs, the awards, helping us to determine the placements. So it was really exciting, particularly too, the number of programs we had this year were almost double. We certainly had double the vendors this year. So we were really excited because we built off of the other conferences that we've had in the past. I also too like to hone in on one other thing for us, and that's the topic for today. Our theme is Intervention Today and Prevention Tomorrow. And it took us a while actually to come up with that particular topic. I want you to know that because we looked at all the other gears of the different topics. We also wanted to make sure that we were very intentional and we were needs-based in terms of how can we resolve issues. And so we thought this is something that was forward-thinking, and yet at the same time, it was simple enough for all of us to remember. We also have a couple session themes that I want to bring to your attention. We have our Aware, Awake, and Alive. Very excited about having them here. Tobacco prevention initiatives and education. Policy and procedures to support ATOD education. Student-involved prevention. And ATOD research and innovation. So those are going to be our themes for the conference this year. I am very pleased, and for me as a Chief Student Affairs Officer who's been in the business now for almost 30 years, I started when I was 9. And that was a laugh at that. Actually, I'm actually 29, so I want to leave it at that. I'm 29. I just lost my hair because of the hard work that we do in student affairs. Starting a new university is a very different experience. When you normally go to a campus, you have rules, you have regulations, you have policies, you have procedures, you have students. You already have ways of doing things. When you go to a brand new university, those things don't exist. You have to start things from scratch. And so the exciting thing about starting a brand new university is being able to hire people that are going to make a difference on your campus. And one of the things that I can tell you President Rush has done is President Rush has actually interviewed every faculty member on this campus and continues to do so. That's amazing. And the reason why is because he believes in what's called student-centered and student-focused. And that's so important when you start thinking about a philosophy, a student-centered and student-focused philosophy. When we were looking at who would be our opening keynote speaker, we thought, wow, this is a no-brainer. We actually have a university president that believes in students and always puts students at the center of every decision that's being made. President Rush came to us in 2001, the very first employee of Cal State Channel Islands, and he built his team from there. But each and every vice president that he brought in, he challenged us to do one thing, and that is to make sure that we created policies, we developed procedures, and we looked at all of our practices that would focus and center around students. On our campus, our students affectionately know President Rush as P. Rush. And so you'll get to hear students say, hey, P. Rush, because he's also a rapper, so when he gets up here, you may want to ask him to go throw down a couple lyrics for you. I'll be your beatbox. As the president of the newest state university, CSU, President Rush, being the president of the 23rd California State University, has challenged our system to be different. He's asked us to be innovators. He's asked us to be creative. He's asked us to not look at the way things have been done, but to look at the way things could be done. And that's the reason why we are so blessed on our campus to be able to have visionary leadership and student focus, all of the same person. And so those folks that are here from Channel Islands, I know that we can all do the whole amen corner, because I know it's hard to believe, because a lot of students don't necessarily love their president, but we love our president. And he does make a difference in each and every one of our lives. And the students can tell you as they walk around, I see one of our love, but I said, our students definitely feel good because they will tell you. They'll go up and say, yeah, President Rush and I just had a conversation. We were going to have a coffee together. We just talked about this and this. And they just come up so free because they feel that President Rush is not just a president. He's their president. And there was a whole lot of information here, and I know that he and I don't necessarily like everything that's read about us because there's all that kind of stuff. But I will say one thing else about President Rush. He is the student's president. And if you want a person to ever lead an institution, if any of you ever think about being the chief of an institution, always remember the reason why we're here is for the purpose of our students. With that in mind, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague and our president, President Richard R. Rush.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. I must say, when Debbie was talking and Jen was talking, why do people always want to talk about hair? You know, Greg and I, he sets the tone for hair, and it seems as though I'm going to have to follow it. I don't like that. Just saying, just saying. Well, welcome everybody to California State University, Channel Islands. On behalf of our entire community, I want to tell you what an honor it is for us to host a meeting of such significance as the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Other Drugs Conference. The subject matter of this gathering and the willingness of each of you to participate gives credence to the importance of dealing with these matters, so that our students, our faculty, our staff, indeed our communities, might benefit from the collective concern evidenced here and appropriate action. Those of you who know me are aware that I frequently interject my speeches with light-hearted comments to set the stage and put us all at ease. Not so today. The plague that affects our campuses and our young people in particular requires warm-hearted and sincere attention. And so, we begin. Let me start with a personal perspective. My parents were of a generation which used tobacco for social acceptance and commonplace practice. They also utilized alcohol as a cover for their mutual unhappiness and a punitive release of stress in their lives. When I was a small child, my parents moved from New Jersey to Los Angeles, as my father was one of 8 who originated the Prudential Insurance Company Western Home Office on Wilshire Boulevard in Los Angeles. Upon arrival, we moved into a hotel off Wilshire Boulevard near what was then the Ambassador Hotel complex. One of my first memories of California involved standing in the middle of the street in my pajamas at night while firefighters attacked our hotel room, since my mother, having had too much to drink while smoking, set fire to a chair and to the room itself. Shortly thereafter, she left Los Angeles, returned to New Jersey, not to be heard from again for more than 15 years. Both of my parents' use of tobacco had impacts on their lives and their deaths. My father passed away of congestive heart failure, and my mother died of emphysema. This is a story familiar to many whose families have been similarly affected by addiction and misuse, either directly or indirectly. I share this story with you simply to indicate that I have a vested interest in actions which will prevent others from similar fates. The purposes of universities and colleges involve preparing students for the future. We want them to excel academically, physically, personally, in order that our society might ameliorate the excesses and the failures of the generations which preceded it. Our hope for our children and our grandchildren is always that they will do better than we. Universities and colleges are committed to the development of whole persons who might live rich, fruitful, and productive lives, helping others as well as themselves. So it is that Cal State Channel Islands holds as a fundamental principle that wellness should imbue the character and the activities of our campus for the benefit of students, faculty, and staff, and all who comprise our community. In that context, then, we are proud to partner with all of you and others who will work to take on the challenge. At this time, we need to define the dimensions of the issues that we are confronting. For almost 20 years, likely more, binge drinking has been an epidemic on university campuses. In 1998, for example, it was asserted that alcohol, tobacco, and other drug problems represented one of the most pressing public health issues in the United States. Despite numerous assaults on these problems, including past and current war on drugs, they remained, it was said, intractable, continuing at epidemic levels and often unresponsive to a variety of strategies and public policy initiatives. It was further stated at that time that this intractability is in part a result of a fundamental misunderstanding of and blindness to the nature of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug problems and the degree to which they are integrated into our society. In the years since, matters have not improved appreciably, particularly in alcohol abuse and that of illicit drugs as well. The most encouraging data pertain to the reduction in the use of cigarettes among young people. However, the habit of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs are frequently formed before students reach our campuses. The National Institutes of Health have compiled data over a 20-year period from 1993 to 2013. Consider these jarring facts. As of 2013, just last year, 39% of 12th graders used alcohol, while 26% of 10th graders did as well. And not to be outdone by their elders, 10% of 8th graders used alcohol. As for illicit drugs, 26% of 12th graders used them, 19% of 10th graders, and 9% of 8th graders. As for tobacco, 16% of 12th graders, 9% of 10th graders, and 5% of 8th graders were already developing that habit. The practice of being accustomed to the use of alcohol and tobacco is already ingrained as many of us know, to a recognizable degree when students step foot on our campuses. Possibly more insidious than alcohol and tobacco use is the easy availability of other drugs in the medicine cabinets in our homes. While my parents' generation apparently did not abuse over-the-counter medications or illicit drugs to the degree that they are notable today, with the possible exception of heroin and cocaine, we now find young people innovative in seeking alternatives to satisfy their cravings. Such medications as Adderall, Vicodin, cold medicines, tranquilizers, OxyContin, and Ritalin find their way into our homes legitimately, but are abused by those for whom they were not intended for a specific purpose. Even more disturbing is the use of K2 spice, ecstasy, salvia, and powder cocaine, with 60% of high school seniors not viewing regular use of marijuana as harmful, nearly double that of 20 years ago. Significantly, according to the National Institutes of Health, the potency of marijuana, as measured by the THC content, has steadily increased over the last few years. Imagination knows no bounds in seeking out even more adventuresome illicit drug use. As the recent growth in crocodile, or crocodile as it seems to be pronounced commonly, demonstrates. Topically, many confirmed cases of crocodile abuse have emerged in Russia and the Ukraine, ironically, while turning people into zombie-like creatures. It's an extremely addictive injectable opioid which produces black or green scaly skin as a side effect. One physician pointed out that it is truly a zombie drug. It literally kills you from the inside out. And it's now here in the United States today. We are all clearly aware, that's why we're here, that misuse and addiction can ruin individual lives as well as families. These are the personal tragedies which we hope to address and prevent in such gatherings as our conference today and tomorrow. But consider the impact on our economy as well. Tobacco use costs the nation $96 billion a year in health care, with a related overall impact of $193 billion, involving crime, abuse, other kinds of impacts not directly related but indirectly so. Alcohol misuse costs $30 billion a year in health care, with a related impact of $235 billion, and illicit drugs, not to be outdone, cost $11 billion in health care and another $193 billion in related impact. There is no good outcome for misuse of tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs on a personal, community, or national level. I offer you these cold facts as a starting point and as a reminder of what confronts us all. If we are committed to the positive well-being, the wellness of our students and our communities, the development of a future talented workforce, and a quality of life for everyone, we must be willing to address in a serious, organized, and concerted way the challenges which these misuses provoke. During your breakout sessions and panel discussions, I ask that you pay special attention to how we might work together in an effort to make a difference. We will hear about such admirable efforts as the founders of Aware, Awake, Alive, Mr. and Mrs. Starkey, and still others who have committed to tobacco-free policies on all of our campuses, as well as those who are initiating approaches to deal with the misuse of other drugs. So let me close with a few other data for your consideration from the National Institutes of Health. About 4 out of 5 college students drink alcohol. About half of college students who drink also consume alcohol through binge drinking. About 25% of college students report academic consequences of their drinking or drug use, including missing class, falling behind, doing poorly on exams or papers, and receiving lower grades overall. 1,825 college students between the ages of 18 and 24 die each year from alcohol-related unintentional injuries. More than 690,000 students overall between the ages of 18 and 24 are assaulted by another student who has been drinking. More than 97,000 students overall between the ages of 18 and 24 are victims of alcohol-related sexual assault or date rape. 591,000 students overall between the ages of 18 and 24 receive unintentional injuries while under the influence of alcohol. Kind of wonder who's left standing. And finally, more than 150,000 students develop an alcohol-related health problem, and between 1.2 and 1.5% of students indicate that they tried to commit suicide within the last year due to drinking or drug use. These are awful data. If we ever needed a call to arms, these data should provide it. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your willingness to participate in ameliorating these problems, fraught with tragic potential. Because if we don't confront these issues, who will? It's on us. Thank you for being here. I wish you great success in your meetings and breakout sessions. Let's begin the solution today. Thank you.
So I wanted to make sure, we have a couple minutes, we'll make sure we end on time. We do want to recognize, we had the students who entered, we figured it would be a nice opportunity as a small token of our appreciation. The students who have entered today, you'll have signed a poster for you that is a commemorative poster because our students are first here. So thank you so much for your words, and we thank the students for helping us to thank you. So we're going to do a couple housekeeping items, and then we have a brief, we're talking brief 3 to 5 minute video to show you about the Aware, Awake, Alive campaign that we're setting up.